Welcome to today's English lesson. It's Wednesday, the 23rd of September. Today's learning targets are how to write a personal letter, so we get to do an actual English lesson, and then the assignment that goes with it will be submitted using a Google assignment on Schoology, which you have done in other classes, so we won't have to teach that particular skill. Our upcoming due dates are the Chromebook submission practice. This was Tuesday's homework, and it is due by midnight tonight. There's choosing your independent novel, which was a Google form in the Monday folder, which you have to have completed by tomorrow. The final upcoming due date is the letter to myself. This will be today's assignment. It is not due until next Monday, September 28th. It's a longer assignment, so you get a little extra time to complete it. Let's jump into the agenda, and the first item is our daily bell ringer. So you can pause the video at this time and go over to Schoology to complete today's bell ringer. This needs to be completed so you still get credit for attending class. All right, now that you're back, we are going to move on to the second item on the agenda. We are going to learn the basics of writing a personal letter. A personal letter is intended for a friend or family member. It is different than a business letter, which you would use in the workplace. They look different and they sound different. We're focusing on personal letters because it's a much more likely type of letter for you to use at this point in your life. And a personal letter will show me where you are as a writer right now. So let's look at the three parts of a personal letter. We start with the greeting. A greeting is what goes at the beginning of a letter and traditionally starts with the word dear. In this case, the letter is intended for someone named Oliver. So our writer started with Dear Oliver. And then to finish the greeting, we put a comma at the end. The second piece of our letter will be the paragraphs that go in the middle. This is all the information that you would like to share in your letter. Each paragraph needs to be indented. To indent means to bump the line in a little bit. When you're on a computer, to do this little indent, all you have to do is hit the Tab key. It's on the left side of your keyboard. The Tab key will bump the first line of the paragraph in, and it knows that if your paragraph happens to go to the second line, it no longer indents it. Each time you start a new paragraph, you will have to hit the Tab key again and indent. You will start a new paragraph every time you change topics. So if you were reading through the story, you would notice that the first paragraph is a greeting and explaining why they're writing the letter. The second paragraph, they change subjects and start talking about what happened to their dad's car. In the third paragraph, they change the subject again and start talking about a new cat. And they had to start a fourth paragraph because at this point they wanted to wrap up their letter. So every time you change subjects, you start a new paragraph. The third and final part of your personal letter is the closing. Now the closing is what goes at the end, and it actually starts halfway across the page, which means you're going to have to hit the Tab button a couple of extra times until you get your cursor to this halfway point. Then we traditionally end with something like sincerely or yours truly. There's a comma after the greeting, after the closing, just like we had at the end of the greeting. So that punctuation will be expected. And then below the closing is the signature or full name of whomever is writing the letter, which if you're writing the letter is you. Just like the closing, it's at that halfway mark across the page. So now that you know about the 3 parts of writing a personal letter, we are going to practice those. Today's assignment is called Letter to Myself, and you're going to find it in the Wednesday folder for week 2. Here's the assignment, and it's going to be a Google assignment. So all you'll have to do is you'll click on a button that says My Document, and when the document pops up, it will look like this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see this a little bit better. Now here's the directions. I'm going to have you type a short letter to your future self. Yep, you're writing the letter to yourself. And you're going to write this letter on the 2nd page of the worksheet. The 1st page is just an example to show you how it's done. Use this example to see how you format the letter, which means making sure you got the greeting, the paragraphs, and the closing all in the right spot. But also pay attention to what should go into your letter. This example actually tells you what information I would like you to share in your personal letter. Now, it's a personal letter, which allows you to be a little less formal because it's not like you're writing to your future boss, but please make sure your word choice is appropriate for school. I am reading the letters. I'm going to use the letter to get to know you. Then I'm going to share it back to you in the last week of school. So in June, I will print this letter out and return it to you, and you will finally receive it. So you are talking to yourself in June of 2021. These can be really fun to read in June because you often change during the school year. So let's check out the example. We've started with a greeting. Dear, and then you'd put your name or your nickname here. And there's that comma at the end. Then your letter will have 4 paragraphs. Paragraph 1 is all about school, telling me about your classes and your teachers and how it's been going for this first week and a half. Paragraph number 2 is interesting facts about yourself. What are you interested in? What do you do when you're not at school? What are some of your favorites? Paragraph number 3 is about some goals you may have as a 7th grader. These can be academic and focusing on grades and homework, but they can also be social or athletic or even just personal goals you have for yourself that are not related to school. Maybe your goal is to read a certain number of books, run a certain distance, make it on a certain team, or maybe it's something as simple as having a birthday party that people can actually attend in person. This should be a goal that you will accomplish between now and June. Finally, your 4th paragraph is one thing that you enjoyed about last summer. Just 1 or 2 sentences so that you can wrap up your letter. And this will be fun to read because by the time you get your letter back, you'll be about to start your next summer vacation. At the end of the letter, you will include a closing. Sincerely, and then a comma, and then you'll type your full name at the bottom. Now, I have actually already done quite a bit of the work for you. So when you scroll to page 2, I've already got the letter started. I've even formatted it for you with the greeting, the 4 paragraphs, and the closing. What you have to do is add the information that's unique to you. So right here at the top where it says Dear, and then you type your name or nickname here. So you might end up writing Dear Bob, Dear Junior, Dear my future self. And in fact, I'm going to pull up an example here so that I can actually make these changes to show you how it's done. So on my assignment, I would highlight the part that's in bold and I would type in my name, Dear Mrs. Borkerding. Then I'd go down to the next paragraph. Today is September 23rd, 2020, and it's my second week as a 7th grader at Osseo Middle School. The classes that I'm taking this year are, all right, I'm going to highlight the bold, pre-algebra, English 7, band, and U.S. studies. And then I talk some more about school. I like my teachers. Mr. Spurl is funny. Ms. Hempy looks like she's 12. Mr. Ward talks about cleaning a lot. And maybe I'd want to add in a couple other things. Then I'd work my way through the other 3 paragraphs, filling in the information by highlighting the bold part and then replacing it with my information. So a few interesting facts about myself are that I like to run, read, and be outside as much as possible. And I'd probably add a couple more sentences talking about my favorite movies, favorite TV shows, favorite books, or whatever else I want to share. By the time I'm done, I will have replaced all of this bold font with my own information, all the way until I get to the bottom when I sign off with my full name. Now, before I submit this assignment, I'm going to do one last thing. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to read through it and make sure it all sounds and looks good because I know that my English teacher is going to read it. And I can already see I've got some typos here. It's going to help me fix. And Google might help me find some spelling mistakes and some punctuation mistakes. But I am going to edit my writing so that I am showing my best possible skills to my teacher. If you have any questions about today's assignment, the letter to myself, please don't hesitate to contact me using the Schoology messages. Thank you.